If you are a black person living in Khayelitsha, your life is far more at risk than any white person living anywhere. Exactly. Me as a middle-class white person driving in a car, the threat to my existence for crime is far, far less than if you are a poor and black person.
So guys, welcome again to another episode of the WSXM podcast. So tonight's video will be about South Africa. They had a debate on race and racism between whites, blacks, colored people and Boers. That's a South African term for like the far right people, white that doesn't like black people. So they had a discussion. I know this is a very good discussion because everyone come together and actually speak their mind, and so I'm gonna try to break it down into 3 different videos so you can observe it better than seeing the whole video and then forget what you see. And as I always say before I start the video, Mandela is the cause of all of this. I used to, when I was young and I didn't understand the world, I used to believe that Mandela was a great president. But as I grew and I get to learn more and more about the continent and about South Africa and specifically about apartheid, I get to realize that Mandela is the cause of all of this. But I'll do a video on that separately. But let's get into this video, and please watch all 3 videos so you can get a full scope and understanding of what South Africa is going through and still going through even after apartheid ended in 1994. So let's get into the video and we'll discuss it after. And also let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. What you think about the video as well. So I don't know. Let's go. Boom.
South Africa is a multicultural society. In 1994, Mandela made us believe that we were also a rainbow nation, united in our diversity. But today, our politics, our life experiences, even our social circles seem once more to be defined by race. It seems like the Rainbow Nation project has failed. Why? With me to discuss this, Kayadlanga, marketing guru, columnist, currently senior communications manager at Coca-Cola South Africa. Sisongem Simang, a scholar and activist who writes about race and gender justice. Sunette Bridges, Afrikaner musician and activist with Red October, the protest movement made popular by Steve Hofmeyr. Pierre de Vos is constitutional law scholar. And Lebu Mashile, award-winning poet. And in our audience, we have South Africans from all walks of life. Welcome to you all. Now, before we ask, has the Rainbow Nation failed? Take a look at this.
In our marketing hype, we've been living in the Rainbow Nation for years. But in the real world, achieving reconciliation and creating a society in which everyone has an equal stake was never going to be easy.
We, the first democratically elected government of this country, made reconciliation one of its main planks. Had we not done that, those elements, the right-wing elements that wanted to stop the election by force, probably would have triumphed.
20 years on, South Africa is a middle-income country, but inequality between races is growing. Black people are 5 times more likely to be unemployed than whites. Racism is not only experienced in the form of poverty and unemployment, it also persists in the social divisions and in people's attitudes. Gloria Kente has been a domestic worker and a nanny for most of her working life, a job that takes her away from her family 6 days a week. In 2006, her employer's partner started abusing her verbally.
He called me kafir, pathetic kafir, and then he just grabbed me the other day with my pajamas and he spit on my face. And he kept calling me kafir, I'm a pathetic kafir, I'm a thief, I'm stealing their land.
In 2008, Gloria laid a charge, but her abuser merely paid a fine and continued to taunt her.
And then he always say to me, I'm acting like a white woman. I forgot that I'm a black.
With help from the South African Domestic Workers Union, Gloria is taking her case to the Equality Court.
I'm happy to do this because I know there is a lot of people that are living in this thing, but they don't want to come out because we don't want to lose our jobs.
Racism is not limited to the poorest South Africans.
Yes, I'm calling about the property that you had advertised on...
Sipho Masonda is a university graduate. When he tried to rent a flat, he was shocked by the response.
But I called this guy who was so bold, he just decided to tell him that, look, the flat is not available to non-whites, quoting him verbatim.
Masonda is a journalist at City Press. He and his colleagues decided to conduct a survey to test if there was racial discrimination by rental agents and landlords.
I think I found about 7. Out of the 7, the 5 were fine with it. But out of the 7, there were 2 which were Afrikaans adverts, rather. So I phoned the Afrikaans adverts. I was bluntly told that the places had been taken. Like 5 minutes later, Yvonne phoned. She spoke Afrikaans and asked for the places. One of them told her the place is still available. She can come in at 4 and view the place. The other one said, no, the place is freely available. She can just come in and get the place if she wanted it.
Black South Africans are not the only ones who feel they are targets of discrimination. Following the killings of white farmers, Steve Hofmeyer and other prominent Afrikaners established a protest movement called Red October.
They made a really big hoo-ha about the fact that if white people get together, it's racist, and if white people get together, they're far right-wing, and you are wrong.
Red October is an international march from 7 or 8 countries, about 58 marches. Lots of them, I suppose, from expats that used to live here, that moved for various reasons, to let the world know that our state gives us a deaf ear when we tell them that there is a minority of us still here who refuse to acclimatize to this substandard of life expectancy.
Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu believes that white people need a different kind of leadership.
It is a shame that the white community has not been able to produce a leader who would say to white people, you don't know just how lucky you are. You don't know just how lucky you are that people can still tolerate living in shacks and go and work for white people in beautiful homes and not kill those white people.
Kayadlanga, let's just admit it. The Rainbow Nation has failed. The whole idea of non-racialism 20 years on, a pipe dream. In fact, we should blame you marketing guys, because you came up with it and then you exploited it for your own commercial gain.
No, I don't think that marketing, came up with it. In fact, it was Archbishop Tutu who came up with it.
And you exploited
and
it.
He was like, the Rainbow Nation of,
Yes.
that's,
Yeah.
he called
and then
the
you
phrase.
exploited it.
I'm not even going to talk about marketing. I can understand what Mandela was trying to do, what, Archbishop Tutu and them were trying to do, but you are not going to get that done in like 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. Because when you used to sing a black person as a garden boy your whole life, and you are not used to seeing a black person as an intelligent person who can think for themselves, who can produce and do things, then you are not likely to accept them as someone who's equal to you.
So Sangam Samang, it's a long-term project, right? So we must just be patient.
No. I think that the concept of being patient assumes that there isn't an urgency to it. So while at the same time, I think we all recognize that non-racialism is a work in progress, we need measures now that address the very real situations in which people are living. We cannot accept, as Archbishop Tutu says, that because of the color of your skin, you will be born, you will live a certain kind of life, and you will die in that same station. My children go to a nursery school, and in that nursery school, there's not a single one of the preschool teachers who is not white. And there's not a single one of the teaching assistants who is white. So the message every single day for those women, there is a ceiling, and until this changes, you will never get this job.
Sinette Bridges, why do we need a Red October movement? I mean, we have 30 million black people in this country who don't have a plate of food. Wouldn't it be better for you to fight that? Would that not make you a little bit more secure, as you heard from Desmond Tutu, that white people in this country are lucky?
I don't agree with what Desmond Tutu said, firstly, at all. And I don't think we can prescribe to tell people what they can and cannot march for. People become involved in projects and march for things that are important to them. There are people marching 6 marches per day in this country, violent ones. And then it is very easy to make an insert, like the one that was played before the show, where the fact that there is white poverty is completely denied, ignored. I, in fact, don't think that most of the people here know that there are white squatter camps.
So why not partner then with the other people who are in squatter camps who are fighting for similar things to those white South Africans who live in squatter camps?
Well,
why segregate yourselves?
No, part of the Red October was had to do with affirmative action, broad-based black economic empowerment. These are discriminatory laws. There are 1 million people, white people, left in the job market in South Africa. So even if you took every single one of their jobs, if you took every single white job away from them and gave all of those 1 million jobs to a black person, then you will just have 1 million more white people that are poor.
But no one's asking for 1 million jobs to be taken away from white
It is
people.
happening. It is, in fact, happening.
But no one's asking for it.
It seems to me the height of self-indulgence for white people to go on and on about affirmative action in the face of so many very real and pressing national problems. And I think part of what's going on with the affirmative action kind of hang-up that white people have is it's the one area since democracy came where white people were forced to not be allowed to state their case and to win that particular fight. And so part of how racism works is that we view white people's pain as more important than black people's pain, right?
Sunette?
No, that's not true at all. You view us as thinking that our problems are more important, and then we think that you think that your problems are more important. And that's the problem that we have. And can I finish, please? Because you and I should have coffee and then you can sort out your personal issues with me. I'm not denying that there are hectic problems in this country that need to be addressed. But we can also not deny the fact that very many of these problems are service delivery, maintenance problems due to cadre deployment, affirmative action. Because people have been put into positions that they are not qualified to do, and the country is falling apart.
When we talk about these things, it always seems to me that the reality of living in South Africa passes some people by, like Sunette. And you can throw out certain statistics, like 18% of white people live in so-called squatter camp, whatever.
Have you ever been to a white squatter camp? Yeah.
If you actually follow statistics that are scientifically taken, then you see, for example, that after 1 year of graduation, a white graduate is about 10 times as likely to have gotten a job than a black graduate. Why is that?
Absolutely. But there is the reality of hundreds, if not thousands, of white farmers being killed on their farms. We can't ignore it.
If you're a black person living in Khayelitsha, your life is far more at risk than any white person living anywhere. Exactly. Me as a middle-class white person driving in a car, the threat to my existence for crime is far, far less than if you are a poor and black person, because of the way in which apartheid structured our society.
In terms of the insight that you've given and so on, you talk about racism against black people. You also talk about white farmers being killed. Whilst there's no mention that the second largest population group in this country, not being white, them being colored, is so neglected. We've got the highest incarceration rate. So we are so caught up between a white-black debate and so on. And this ideal, the zebra debate, this ideal where we want to grow to in terms of a rainbow nation is, so to say, denied because we are leaving behind the people who are originally in this country.
Let me ask you this. When the racial categorizations are made in this country under, for example, black economic empowerment, employment equity, colored people fall under black people. Why do you feel the need? No. Yes, let me finish my point and then you can respond. Why you feel you must hold on to that identity and why it then leads to the exclusion that you're talking about?
There can be many reasons, but the sole reason is we are a social construct in this country. Secondly, constitutionally, we have the right to associate us with whomever we want to. Yes. We are coloreds. There's nobody representing us here. I'm just asking for fairness. I'm saying if we are really serious about speaking about racism, let us give each other a fair chance. Let us say there must be a black person, there must be a colored person, a white person, an Indian person. But you can't say let's talk seriously about racism, but you exclude us.
All right. Dr. Mulder, if you could stand up for me.
The Rainbow Nation is in trouble, in serious trouble. When we started the constitutional writing process in '95, I was present as a member of parliament. An ad was put out to the public to say, what is South Africa about? It said, at that time, 20 million women, 18 million men, 8 religions, 25 church denominations, 31 cultural groups, 14 languages, 9 race groups, 1 country. And if you look at the audience today, that is the reality of South Africa. The question is, how do we deal with that reality? How do we take South Africa forward and create a society where we can live in peace and harmony and take our country forward? Now, my fight is not so much with our friend from Coca-Cola. My fight is with a friend from South African breweries. The impression is created of this wonderful rainbow nation. We see that every Saturday in sporting advertisements. The true problem is that the recipe for nation building in South Africa is wrong. We cannot stumble from one sporting event to the next and think we're going to build a nation in terms of people feeling that they belong, that they are accommodated. That's why the Minister of Sport reacted so terribly about Bafana Bafana, calling them useless idiots. Yeah. Why? He hoped that they would win the cup and the ruling party can ride on that sentiment until the election. That's what he hoped.
Do Indian people feel the same way as colored people, that they are excluded, that they are a separate group and should be dealt with separately?
Well, I don't know. I'm not here as an Indian person. I'm here as a black South African woman. The problem, I think, is that in the first few years of our democracy, the ANC had a discussion which they called the national question about how it deals with the question of race. But as time went by, after the Mandela presidency, the ANC abandoned that because there were other priorities in the country, and rightly so. And what you then had is people retreating into their lagers. So what you have is people like Sunette and my black brother across there who believe that they are different. And there is no intelligent debate in this country other than what we're doing now on how to deal with these issues and how to help people like this to see that their problems are no different from everybody else's problems. And that when you talk about squatter camps in this country, it's more to do with class rather than a few people, that feel that they need to be treated differently and that their problems need to be treated differently.
All right. I don't know. It's a huge project, this. Building this country, not fighting with each other and not pointing fingers. Why are we not in this together?
I think the defining chord that runs through South African identity is the sense of exclusion. If you're poor and black, you feel excluded. If you're white and your ancestors were colonialists, you feel excluded. If you're multiracial, if you're colored, and your ancestors were slaves and colonialists, you feel excluded. Everybody in this country feels like they're being pushed out of the box of South Africanness. Our country was built on 350 years of systemic violence. Systemic violence, misogyny, and the exclusion of people. When we start to deal with the emotional, psychological, and spiritual baggage of that, then we'll start to form a country, we'll start to form a nation. But that is real, deep, inner, emotional, loving work. We need to start speaking from a place of love for self, from a place of love for our children, from a place of wanting this society to be what we imagine it to be in our minds, in our dreams. We've got to want something better than what we have now, and want it more than we want to be right.
And when we return, we hear from gardeners who have been victims of racism here in Johannesburg. This is The Big Debate.